Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we are doing the Cruz versus Valenzuela breakdown and prediction video. As Isaac Cruz, the newly crowned WBA junior welterweight champion at 140 pounds, is set to make the first defense of his title excuse me, when he takes on Jose Valenzuela on the Crawford Madrimov Amazon Prime and DAZN pay-per-view card that's taking place on August 3rd. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. Excuse me. So, you know, this fight, it's a really intriguing matchup. And I'm really looking forward to seeing it. Now, if you haven't seen my breakdown videos before, we discuss, you know, the fight itself, what it means. I get into that, and then I go into each fighter individually. In a title fight like this, we start with the champion, then we move on to the challenger. I discuss what they've done coming into the fight, you know, what they need to do to win this fight, a few other different detailed questions, and then you know, I have one final question and then my prediction at the end of the video. Now, this fight right here, as I said, I don't think this fight is getting enough love. I think Isaac Cruz is coming in a much bigger favorite than he should be. I don't think Jose Valenzuela is getting any kind of love in this fight, and it's disappointing, because it's almost like a gimme that Cruz is going to win this fight, and I'm sorry, I just don't believe it's that one-sided of an ordeal here. But Jose Valenzuela is very solid, very good fighter. He was rolling until he met Edwin De Los Santos almost 2 years ago in 2022 and got stopped in the second round. That was his first defeat. You know, and he's been good ever since, but nobody saw that coming, and he was highly touted, and he was the heavy favorite going in against De Los Santos in that fight. So I don't think he's getting the proper love that he deserves. This is his first title shot, and I think this is going to be a good ass scrap right here. I really do. I like that it's the co-feature, because it's really and it's for Cruz's title. But I really think this one could steal the show right here. It really could. So I'm very intrigued. And the winners, it's going to be sky's the limit. Fighting on a card this big, and the winner really is going to have a smooth road in front in terms of opponent selection. So let's jump into the fighters. We start with the newly crowned and reigning champion, Isaac Cruz. Cruz upset, you know, well, let's go back to his 3 fights. What has he done rolling into this? We always go back to the last 3 fights. First of those was in September of 22, when he fought Eduardo Ramirez, who was coming up. He was still, Cruz was still at lightweight. Ramirez was coming up from, was moving up from 130 pounds to fight Cruz, and Cruz destroyed him in only 2 rounds. Kind of not surprising. Ramirez's best days were at 126. He made a little bit of noise at 130, but there wasn't that big of a gap between him fighting at 126 and 135 in this fight, and Cruz just destroyed Ramirez in just a couple rounds. He took 10 months off, returned in July of last year, 2023, and took on then undefeated Giovanni Cabrera, and got a scare in that one. He walked away with a very close, somewhat controversial split decision victory over Cabrera to stay undefeated since his lone defeat, or was that his second defeat? I can't remember. Since his last defeat to Gervonta Tank Davis. And then in his last fight, took place in March of this year, when he got the opportunity to fight Rolly Romero for the WBA 140-pound title, and he ended up fighting, you know, Romero and dominating him. He put him down early in the first round, and from there just wore down Rolly Romero, kept the pressure on, and knocked him out. 8th round to capture the 140-pound title, his first title. So he's coming in, the reigning champ here. Big card. He is hungry. He's coming off the biggest win of his career over Rolly Romero. He is hungry. We're going to see how he does against Valenzuela, you know. Well, I'm hoping he's not overlooking him in this fight. So what does Cruz need to do to win this fight? Well, part of the reason I think this fight is such an interesting battle is Cruz is giving up 6 inches in height and 7 inches in reach to Jose Valenzuela. That's a big difference right there. I know Valenzuela, this is his first fight at 140, but this is only Cruz's second fight at 140. So, I really, you know, he's got to get on the inside and hurt Valenzuela and put the pressure on and try to take Valenzuela into the deep waters and be in great shape and make this a tough firefight, hit the body so he can keep Valenzuela. Valenzuela decides to box, he can keep him kind of a stationary target. Cruz, like I said, he just needs to make an impact early on Valenzuela here and really, you know, step up the pressure and the power shots at an early stage to see what he can pull off. Now, can Isaac Cruz win this fight by knockout? And I think he can. You know, Valenzuela's been knocked out before. Cruz is a power puncher. You know, he comes with it. He can hit and he can punch. He can punch and he can punch with power. He's not just a wear you down type of fighter. So yeah, I think he can win this fight by knockout. Can Cruz win this fight by decision? I'll be honest with you, that's going to be a tough one. I really think that's going to be tough because of how much height and reach he's given up in this fight. I think it's going to be tough for him to try to pull this one out by a decision. I really do. What's more likely for Isaac Cruz with a victory? Is it a knockout or is it decision? I think it's a knockout. I think that's more likely. He wears down Valenzuela or hurts him early and just applies the pressure and stops him. So I really think a knockout for a victory is more likely from Isaac Cruz. Now, what does a win mean for Isaac Cruz here? And it means a lot. It pushes forward towards something bigger. If Cruz beats Valenzuela and Tank Davis goes on to beat Vasily Lomachenko, or if the Lomachenko fight doesn't happen after all, then this gives Tank a big option for a rematch to finally take place between the two late this year or early next year, you know? And that's what Cruz wants, but there's also just so many other good fighters at 140 that Cruz could fight. So a victory here means a lot for him. What does a loss mean for Isaac Cruz? Well, it would depend on how he loses. You know, Valenzuela is no pushover. He's a good fighter. If Valenzuela beats Cruz's ass, then, you know, that really would, I think that would hurt Cruz and really derail him a lot. It could, you know, if like he goes out there and gets knocked out or something on that level, I think it could really affect Cruz. Now, if Valenzuela narrowly defeats him by a decision, I don't think it hurts Cruz as much. I think it keeps everything alive about him and keeps people waiting to see him return, after a loss. But a loss either way hurts, but depending how he loses could really hurt. Now, we switch over to the challenger, Jose Valenzuela. Valenzuela's coming into this fight. This is his first title fight. His last 3 fights date back to September of 2022 as well, when he suffered the first loss of his career. He was rolling. He came in a heavy favorite against Edwin De Los Santos, and De Los Santos caught him cold in the second round and knocked him out. And a devastating loss for him right there. But he bounced back in 2023. First, he took on he faced Chris Colbert in back-to-back fights. The first fight, he should have got a decision, and the decision was given to Chris Colbert. So it took him the remainder of the year to try to get a rematch, but he would get the rematch with Colbert, and he would leave no doubt as he brutally knocked Colbert out in the rematch to push forward and put himself in line for a title shot at 135, but that didn't come. So he has accepted this fight right here with Cruz for the WBA title at 140. He's making his debut at 140. I think he's hungry, and I think he's coming off of a monster victory that got all his confidence back. You know, losses happen. De Los Santos is a good, hard-hitting fighter, and Valenzuela just got caught. You know, shit happens. But it's how you bounce back from those losses, and he had the controversy of the fight with Colbert, and then he erased all that with a dominant performance against Colbert in the rematch and knocking him out, you know, impressively. One of the best knockouts of 2023. So now, you know, we're going to see how things shake out here for Jose Valenzuela rolling into this fight. Again, I do think he's very hungry and poised to win his first world title. Now, what kind of fight does Valenzuela need to fight in order to beat Isaac Cruz? What does he need to do to beat Isaac Cruz? I'll tell you right now, he needs to use the height and reach. Valenzuela is an action fighter as well. He throws a lot of punches, but if he can use that height and reach and, you know, do some lateral movement, he has a 6-inch height and a 7-inch reach advantage. Why would you not use your lateral movement? Why would you allow a guy like Cruz to get on the inside and just hit you? He needs to use that movement, and he needs to try to land something significant early to get Cruz off of him, to let Cruz know you are not going to bully me, little guy. You know, and I think if he can set that tone early, he can definitely be effective and have a real shot of pulling off this upset. Now, can Jose Valenzuela win this fight by knockout? And you know what? I think he can. I think Valenzuela has some good power. I think he's motivated. I think he's pumped up. It's his first world title shot. And I think he really wants to become the world champion. And I think he's also feeling the effects of being a big underdog in this fight. And I think he's going to want to leave no doubt. So, yeah, I think Valenzuela can win this fight by knockout. Can he win this fight by a decision? I think he can. I think he needs to make sure he's winning the rounds. You know, use that height and reach and win the rounds. If he can do that, Jose Valenzuela can win this fight, I believe. So, now, excuse me, sorry about that. What is more likely for a Valenzuela win? By a knockout or by a decision? And I really think it's about 50-50, but I think Valenzuela, because he is also lands hard shots and everything himself, I think a knockout might be the more likely thing for him. I don't think, Cruz is a tough motherfucker, but so is Valenzuela, and I think a knockout might be more likely than a decision here. I think it's close. I think you can say 50-50, but I really believe that Valenzuela, I think a knockout is just slightly, I would say 51-49 is the more likely victory for him than a decision. So, what does a victory mean for Jose Valenzuela? It would be fucking huge for him. If he could pull off this upset here on this big of card and also win his first world title, the sky's the limit. Valenzuela turns himself into a star just like that, and he's on everybody's radar with the victory over Cruz, especially if it's decisive. So, any kind of win is big, but a decisive win is huge for Valenzuela. Now, what does a loss mean for for Jose Valenzuela? A loss, depending on how he loses, it's going to go a long way. He's coming in the underdog. I don't think he's getting the love that he deserves. But if he loses this fight, I don't think a lot of people are going to be surprised by that. But how he loses could really matter. If he goes out there and gets the shit beat out of him by Cruz, he's not going to be taken seriously. But that still could lead to opportunities because people are going to look at him as potentially kind of that gatekeeper type guy. But if he goes out there and performs really well, loses a close decision, or it's a firefight and he gets stopped late, I think he'll garner a lot of respect and he'll get opportunities still that way, and more of them than he would if he were to get his ass beat. So how he loses does matter. You know, it's definitely gonna hurt, no doubt, but depending on how he loses, it'll hurt more, you know, or less. And so now I have to ask, is it better for boxing if Isaac Cruz wins this fight or if Jose Valenzuela wins this fight? I think because Cruz is more known and you know his style, it's a 51. In my opinion, it's better for boxing if Cruz wins because more people know Cruz because of the Tank Davis fight. But I think if you're looking for a guy that could be, in my opinion, that could be more dominant because of his size and his youth, you know, I think Jose Valenzuela, if he can pull off the victory here, people are gonna know him better, and that's gonna be good for boxing going forward. But for now, I think it's better for boxing if Cruz wins this fight. But I'm telling you, it's not gonna be bad at all for boxing if Valenzuela wins this fight. And now, my prediction. Who's gonna win this WBA junior welterweight title fight on August 3rd between Isaac Cruz and Jose Valenzuela? And I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by this. I'm picking Jose Valenzuela to upset and stop Isaac Cruz in the middle to later rounds of a firefight here to capture the WBA junior welterweight title. People are wondering why. I think his toughness, he's got the power, in my opinion, to hurt Cruz. He's a southpaw, which matters, and his height and reach are significant. I don't think he's a pushover that's just going to allow Cruz to come in and bully him. I don't think he will. And I think he's going to make a statement. I think he's going to land some big shots that are going to back Cruz off. And I think Jose Valenzuela is going to knock Isaac Cruz out in this fight and become the new WBA junior welterweight champion. Now, Isaac Cruz can definitely win this fight. I see him absolutely with a big opportunity of pulling off the win, especially if he can bully Valenzuela and hurt him early and just put the pressure on. I think he can win this fight, but I believe Jose Valenzuela is not Rolly Romero. He's a tough fighter, and I think he is going to prove himself in this fight with Isaac Cruz and capture the world title and pull off the victory. So that's it. That's what I got. That's my Cruz versus Valenzuela breakdown video, as Isaac Cruz will defend his WBA junior welterweight title at 140 pounds against Jose Valenzuela on the August 3rd Crawford versus Madrimov, DAZN and Amazon Prime pay-per-view card. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.